what do you guys want to see me work through from the review? Number one? Absolutely. Did you have one that you wanted to request?
Number 10.
So we'll do number 1 first, and then we'll do number 10. To solve number 1, I'm going to distribute the 7. I'm also going to distribute the -3 here. So I would have 21x plus 14, and then this would give me a minus 6x plus 21 equals 110. If I'm staying on the same side of the equal sign, I leave the signs the same. So like this 21x and the -6x, I'm not going to plus 6x to both of those because they're not on opposite sides of the equal sign. I'm just going to combine those two pieces together. So this right here, when I look at it, it says 21x, or 21 apples, minus 6 apples. What is 21 apples minus 6 apples? 15. So this would become a 15x plus 14 plus 21 equals 110. I'm going to combine these two pieces together. What's 14 plus 21? 35. So 15x plus 35 equals 110. Subtract 35 from both sides. What is 110 minus 35? 75. 15x equals 75. And then we divide both sides by 15. And what did you say, Josh? 5 is correct. Sorry, I thought that's what I heard you say a moment ago. X is 5. Number 10 was the next one we had a request for.
So for the first page, is that how you do all of them? Or is just that?
That's how I would do number 1. I would do number 2 in a very similar way. For 3 and 4, we have to use our rules for absolute value. And if you want me to come back to one of those after number 10, I'm more than happy to. All right, number 10, Jordan makes and sells wallets. They estimate that their income can be modeled by this equation right here. So I'm actually, so that I can keep track of that, I'm going to bring that information down here. This is their income equation. Y equals 21x minus 250. It says that x is the number of wallets they sell. They estimate that the cost to make the wallets can be modeled by this equation right here. So I'm going to bring that down and I'm going to write it down below. So their cost, y equals 9x plus 182. And we want to know what about this situation? We want to know how many wallets for what to happen. In order to break even. What does breaking even mean? One more time.
To end up with an even amount of money.
Very close. I like where you're going with that. The suggestion right now is to end up with an even amount of money, and I agree that the number that we want to end up with is an even number. What does it mean to break even? Yes, sir.
Like have no sense.
Breaking even means however much money he spends on his supplies, his cost, he makes exactly that amount of money from selling the wallets. So he doesn't walk away with a profit. He didn't make any money, but he didn't lose any money either. Everything that he had to spend on supplies, he earned back. So to break even means the cost equals the income. We have two equations here, one for the cost and one for the income. When we have more than one equation, that is called a system of equations. We have 3 methods to solve a system. Does anybody remember what those 3 methods are? I'll give you hints. One of them starts with a G, one starts with an S, one starts with an E. Substitution is one of them. There's our S. All right, there's still one that starts with an E and one that starts with a G. What'd you say? I don't know who I heard. Elimination is another method. What's the one that starts with a G? Yes, sir. Graphing. All 3 of these methods are valid. They will all lead to a correct answer. Sometimes one is a better choice than the other, not because it gives the right answer and the others give the wrong answer, but sometimes there's one that's easier to use or that's less work. On a problem like this, just looking at those numbers, what do you guys think about using the graphing method? Yeah, I probably wouldn't want to. I'm not going to get a wrong answer, but I would probably only solve by graphing if I was using some online software. Just because those numbers are very, very big. So I'm not going to solve this one by graphing. Elimination or substitution? Which one do you guys want to go with for this problem? We could do elimination. This is actually one of the ones that is perfectly set up for substitution. We can do it using elimination, and I'm happy to show you guys how if you want to see. For substitution, the best setup for substitution is when X or Y is already alone. I have 2 equations where Y is all by itself. If I know what Y is equal to, Y is all by itself, I take everything after the equal sign, all of this, and it's going to take the place of the Y in the other equation. So I would have 21x minus 250 equals 9x plus 182. That's what substitution would look like here. I took everything after the equal sign in one of my y equals equations, and I put it in the place of the y in the other equation. All right, I'm going to recopy that over here so that we can actually solve it. I want to get my x's to the same side here, so I'm going to subtract 9x from both sides. What is 21x minus 9x? 12x. So 12x minus 250 equals 182. Then I would add 250 to both sides. So I have 12x equals what? 432. Divide both sides by 12. And what do we get for x when I divide 432 by 12? 36. What does that answer mean? Because they asked me to write this as a sentence. What does that mean?
How many numbers of balls he sold?
Yes, this is how much he needs to sell in order for what to happen? To break even. Jordan needs to make and sell 36 wallets to break even. How do I know whether or not that's right? Check. I know that I want the income to be the same as the cost. So I'm going to substitute into both of these equations, and I'm going to make sure that the income is the same as the cost. Our income equation was y equals 21x minus 250. What did we get that I could substitute in there? The x. So y equals 21 times 36 minus 250. What is 21 times 36? 756 minus 250? 506. So that's how much money it's going to, or he's going to make if he sells 36 wallets. Let's go find out how much it cost him for the supplies for those 36 wallets. So our cost equation, y equals 9x plus 182. We're going to substitute 36 in the place of the x. What is 9 times 36? How much? 324 plus 182? 506. We got the same thing for the cost and the income. Did he break even? Mm-hmm. Those are the same. What else did you guys want to see? Number 4? Absolutely. Let's go look at number 4. To solve an absolute value problem. 3 and 4 are both absolute value problems, so I'm going to write these down as our steps for both of them. First thing we have to do is isolate our absolute value. Once we have the absolute value isolated, we will split it into the 2 cases. Then we will solve each of those cases. And the last thing you have to do is check. I had somebody ask me earlier today, do we have to check on the test? Yes. You have to check, because if you don't check, you could say that an extraneous answer actually would work. The only way you'll know whether it's extraneous or not is by checking. So I'm going to model how to do all 4 of these steps here. I'm going to do number 4 first, because that was the one that I was asked about. If you guys want to look at number 3 with me after that, since we're right here, we can go and do that, okay? So isolate this piece right here. That is the absolute value that I need to isolate. If I cover up all the stuff that's inside there, is there anything left on that side? Nope. That means it is isolated. If you cover up the part on the inside and there's nothing else there, it's isolated. We're happy about that. This is isolated already. So we got that step done. Step number 2 is 2 cases. Before we write down our 2 cases, I want to remind you of what we know about absolute value. So we're going to have case 1, and we're going to have case 2. All right, pretend with me for just a minute. If I were to tell you that I was 7 units away from 0, could you tell me where I could possibly be on the number line? I could be at -7, or I could be at +7. Those are the 2 possible options here. Notice we got two cases here. Absolute value means distance away from 0. When I'm talking about distance away from 0, it can be 7 units away on the left. That's one of my cases. Or 7 units away on the right. When I go to write my two cases, the part inside the absolute value stayed the same in both of these cases. I just recopied the x. It was the part on the other side where one was positive, one was exactly what I had seen, and the other one was opposite. So I'm going to try to follow that same pattern over here with my two cases. What's inside the absolute value? 6y plus 25. In both of my cases, that's going to be exactly the same. That's like this. I rewrote the x 2 times without the absolute value symbol on it. So I recopied this part exactly as I saw it 2 times without the absolute value symbol on it. So far, so good? For one of my cases, the other side of the equal sign stays exactly the same. I'm just going to recopy what I see. So for one of my cases, I'm going to just recopy negative 3y minus 2. Nothing changed. Just like here, when I wrote down one of my cases, the only thing that I did different was the absolute value sign disappeared. For the other case, what happened? It changes signs. So in case 2, I'm going to have the opposite sign, or negative, of whatever I had there to begin with. So I have a negative this, all of this. Let's solve both of these cases, and then we'll go in and we'll check our answers to make sure that they're valid, okay? Let's do case 1 first. I want to get my y's to the same side, so I'm going to subtract 6y from both sides. Negative 3y minus 6y is negative 9y. I'm going to get my constants to the other side, so I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Negative 9y equals what? 27. What do I still need to do to get y all by itself? Yes, ma'am. Yes, you may. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
What if instead of subtracting the 6y, what if I added 3y? Is that okay?
Yep. Totally fine. We just want to get the y's to the same side, so you could do either one of those. Yes, ma'am.
Add 9y.
Close. We're going to divide. The 9 and the y are being multiplied together here. So to get rid of the 9, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 9. What is 27 divided by negative 9? Negative 3. There's one of my answers. Let's go solve case 2, and then we'll check each of these answers separately. We have to do 2 separate checks, one for each answer. First thing I need to do here is get rid of these parentheses. How do I do that? We're going to distribute that negative sign. If I multiply a negative by a negative, what happens? Positive. So this is going to be 3y plus 2 equals 6y plus 25. Get my y's to the same side, so I'm going to minus 6y from both sides. 3y minus 6y is negative 3y plus 2 equals 25. I'm going to minus 2 from both sides. Negative 3y equals what? 23. What's the last thing I need to do here to get the y all alone? Divide both sides by -3. Is my answer going to come out positive or negative? Negative. Normally when we have a negative fraction at the end, because this isn't going to give me a whole number, we normally put the negative out in front of our fraction, or we put it up with our numerator. If you forget that and you put it with the denominator, I'm not going to count it wrong. But when I have a negative fraction, I usually either put it in front of the fraction or I put it up with my numerator. All right, let's check this now. Which answer do you guys want to check first? The fraction. Sounds good. Let's check our fraction first. I'm going to go all the way back to the original equation, the one that has the absolute value in it. What are we going to put in the place of y? That fraction, -23/3. So I have -3 times -23/3 minus 2. I want to check to make sure that that is equal to the absolute value of 6 times, there's a y here, so I got to put that fraction in here also. -23/3 plus 25. All right. I need you to grab your calculators for me. Cell phone calculator is totally fine. Head up for me, sir. Grab your cell phone calculators. We're going to do -3 times -23/3. -3 times -23/3. 23. So I have 23 minus 2 on this side of the equal sign. What is 23 minus 2? 21. I've done everything I can on this side, correct? So now I'm going to jump to the other side and make sure I get the same thing over there. On the other side, I need you to grab your calculators for me again. We're going to do 6 times -23/3. What is 6 times -23/3? -46 plus 25, and that's inside my absolute value. What's -46 plus 25? -21. What is the absolute value of -21? 21. So I got a 21 on this side. What did I get on the other side when I simplified it? 21. Are those the same? Then it checks. We got the same thing on both sides. Yes, ma'am.
How do you multiply the fraction?
The fraction with the whole number. If you're trying to do it by hand, if you're trying to do it without a calculator, we take that whole number and we turn it into a fraction by putting it over 1, just like we do with our slope. And then you would multiply straight across. So you would multiply the 6 and the -23, the 1 and the 3, and then I would divide that. So whatever I get from multiplying these two, I would divide by whatever I get from multiplying these two. So that's how I would do that one. If you've got a calculator in your hands, which you are always welcome to borrow my yellow calculators, and they have fraction keys on them. If you guys don't know where the different buttons are, I'm always happy to show you where the buttons are so that you can plug them into the calculator to check things. Are we done? No. We know that one of our answers is valid. This horrible looking fraction answer is a valid answer. Now we're going to go and we're going to check the other answer. So I'm going to go back to my original equation, which means I need to write it down all over again. -3y minus 2 equals the absolute value of 6y plus 25. What are we putting in for y this time? -3. So I have -3 times -3 minus 2. Over here inside the absolute value, I have 6 times negative 3 plus 25. What's negative 3 times negative 3? Positive 9. So I have 9 minus 2 on this side. What is 9 minus 2? 7. Can I do anything else on this side? Nope, then I'm going to jump to this side over here. I'm going to multiply the 6 and negative 3 together. What is 6 times negative 3? Negative, what did you say this one was? 6 times 3. Negative 18. Negative 18 plus 25 is 7. Remember, all that's still inside my absolute value here. What is the absolute value of 7? 7. Did I get the same thing on both sides? Yes. And so that means our other answer is also valid. So I actually really like something that just happened because this tends to be a place where we, including myself, make simple mistakes. Whether I'm checking or whether I'm trying to solve to find my answers, be really, really careful about absolute value. I want to do all the stuff on the inside when I'm checking, and then after I've simplified the inside as much as possible, then I ask myself, how far away is this from 0? And then I can write that answer down. One of the things that I see happen a lot, and again, guilty of it myself, so absolutely no judgment, multiplying our answers together, as we simplify, we're not going to get the same results from doing these. We wanted to find the values for y that would mean my whole absolute value had the same distance from 0 as the other side. We got two numbers that are both negative. We didn't get a positive answer and a negative answer, and they're not opposites of each other. I got a nice, pretty whole number, negative 3, and then I had this gross, horrible number, negative 23 over 3. But both of them worked. Before we go and do any other problems, did you guys want to see number 3 real quick while we're here? Okay. Where's my absolute value here? 4 minus x. This right here is what I have to isolate. If I cover up all the stuff that's inside there, is there anything still on that side of the equal sign? Yes. We have the 2 and we have the 13. What's connecting the 13 to my absolute value? What operation? Addition. What operation is connecting the 2 to my absolute value? Not division. I'll use division to undo it. Multiplication is what's happening right now. Which one of those do I undo first? The addition. How do I undo a plus 13? Subtract. So I'm going to minus 13 from both sides. So I have 2 and then the absolute value of 4 minus x equals, what's 9 minus 13? What is 9 minus 13? Negative 4. We still have this 2 out in front. You said the 2 is being multiplied. We still need to get rid of it. How do I get rid of a times 2? Divide both sides by 2. So I would have the absolute value of 4 minus x equals what? Negative 2. Is my absolute value isolated now? Yes, if I cover up everything that's inside here, there's nothing left on that side, right? So I just finished step 1. I'm ready to move to step 2, but I got to stop and look at this real quick. What does absolute value mean again? Distance from 0. So this whole side right here, because it's all inside my absolute value, this is telling me distance away from 0. This says that my distance is how far from 0? What do I have? The distance is -2. Why does that sound so weird? I can't have a negative distance, right? I can't be -2 units away from 0. I can be 2 units away from 0, but I can't be -2 units away from 0. If I said I'm -2 miles away, you would laugh at me, right? That's not a thing that's possible. So if I'm looking at something that's impossible right here, no solution. Very good. All right, we still have about 10 minutes left, which is enough time to do 2 or 3 problems depending on how long they are. Yes, ma'am. Number 5? Absolutely. Let's go look at problem number 5. Problem number 5 says we want to rewrite our equation into standard form. Standard form of an equation. And I will make sure that you guys have all the forms tomorrow. If they're not printed on the test, I'll have them written on the board. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. A, B, and C have to be whole numbers. And A has to be a positive number. So A, B, and C have to be whole numbers. A has to be positive. What else do you notice about where X and Y are? Same side or opposite sides?
Opposite.
Right now they're on opposite sides, but when I have it in standard form, are they going to be on the same or opposite? Same. So I need to get them on the same side. That's my first thing I need to do. Then I'll worry about those other pieces. I have y equals 1/8 x plus 4. How am I going to get the x to the other side? Subtract it. So I'm going to subtract 1/8 x from both sides. So that's going to cancel here. I'm going to have negative 1/8 x. That is a positive y equals 4. Are x and y on the same side? Yes. Are all the numbers whole numbers? No. What's on the bottom of any of the fractions I have? 8. I only have one fraction and it's only an 8. That means I need to multiply every single piece by 8. Whatever was on the bottom is what I'm multiplying by. Grab your calculators and help me out. What is 8 times negative 1/8? Negative 1. So I have negative 1x plus 8y equals what? 32. All right, so I'm checking through this again. Are x and y still on the same side? Yes. Do I have only whole numbers? Have I met all my criteria then? What's wrong? A is not a positive number. My A is a negative number right now. What can I do to this to make it positive? I can divide it by what? Negative 1. I can either multiply or divide by negative 1. Because if I multiply something by 1, will it change? If I divide something by 1, will it change? No. So if I multiply or divide by negative 1, the only thing that's going to change is my sign. What is negative 1x divided by negative 1? positive 1x. So I can just write that as x. What is 8y divided by negative 1? Negative 8y, so x minus 8y equals negative 32. X and y on the same side? Everybody's a whole number? Leading coefficient is a positive number. Then it is in standard form. What else do you guys want to see? Number 2? Absolutely. For number 2, the first thing I'm going to do here is distribute the 5. So I've got 5x plus 15 minus 9x is greater than 9. I'm going to combine these two together right here. Are they on the same side of my inequality? Yep. They're both on the left-hand side of the inequality, so I'm just going to put them together. 5 minus 9. Negative 4. So I have negative 4x plus 15 is greater than 9. Let's get the constant to the other side, so I'm going to minus 15 from both sides. Negative 4x is greater than, what's 9 minus 15? Negative 6. So I'm going to bring my work up here so you guys can still see it. Negative 4x is greater than negative 6. What do I do next? Divide by what? Negative 4. Because I divided by a negative, what's going to happen to my inequality? It's going to change, and this is going to become a less than now instead of a greater than. 6 divided by 4. 20. 6 divided by 4. It's going to be a decimal, that's okay. 1.5. Or if you wanted to leave it in fraction form, you could look at this and say, oh, I see that I can divide both of those numbers by 2. So you could have had x is less than 3 over 2. That would be fine also. Decimal form or fraction form would be perfectly fine. Number 12. I don't have enough time to go through that, but what I will tell you, I'm posting the videos from 4th period and 5th period. The problems that I went over in those classes that I didn't go over here. I went over number 12. I went over number 11. That's in the 5th period video. That's what I'm listing off so far. So I did number 12. I did number 11. I did number 9. I did number 7. I don't remember if I did number 8 with them or not. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did not do 6 with any of my classes. So if you guys want to see 6, you'll have to look at the answer key. I'm going to show you guys where that is here in just one moment. I did 7 in both 4th and 5th period, so you can watch either one of those videos to see this problem. I did 9 in 5th period. I did 11 in 5th period, and I did 12 in 5th period. I don't think I did number 8. So I think number 6 and number 8 are the only 2 problems that aren't on one of the videos. On Canvas, let me show you where the answer keys are. This is today's page. How do I get to today's page when you just log into Canvas? Go to Modules. Once you go to Course Modules, where do you go from there to get to today's page? Scroll down until you see today's date, Monday, September 19th. Click on that very top piece right here. This is going to take us to that same page that I was just on. From here, you're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom until you can't go any further. The videos, by the way, are going to be posted right here. After school today, they'll be up. All the way down at the bottom. You guys see this last link down here? If you click on this, it will open up my answer key. And you guys can see all of my work. So like I said, I didn't do number 6 with any of my classes, but here's all of my work for how I solved that problem. The only 2 problems that are not on one of the videos are number 6 and number 8. Everything else is going to be talked through on one of the videos. 5th period I went through the most because we had the most time in there. So please feel free to get in and watch any of those videos. Test is tomorrow. Any homework that you guys get turned in before you walk in the room to take the test, if you pass the test, I will take all of those scores up to 100%. It does not matter if you missed questions, as long as you have tried those homework assignments and done your best, and then you pass the test. By pass the test, I mean 60% or higher. If you don't pass the test on your first try, you can come in, do corrections and a retake, and I will still honor that policy. So please work through the homeworks tonight for anything that you have not turned in yet. You will be turning in the test review tomorrow. The answers are posted, so there's no excuse for not having those test reviews done. I've provided you with all the work for you to check yourself against. All right? Let me know if you guys have any questions. Feel free to message me through Canvas. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.